Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all staying safe and well, and welcome to my film and TV channel. I hope you enjoy what I've got for you today, and please check out as you're watching this little links on screen as well for different things to my Facebook and Twitter, and of course my football channel as well. And please, all your comments are very welcome. Just let us know and push that subscribe button. Don't forget, please push subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are set to public as well if you want to know when these vlogs are coming out. Push that notification button as well. So please enjoy. Right, today our film review is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. There we go, a big Marvel Universe one. $150 million budget. Yeah, not the dearest one they've made, but not bad. 2 hours 13 minutes, as you would expect. I wouldn't mind a little bit less than 2 hours, but there you go. They pay $150 million, so they've got to stick plenty of hours in there, haven't they, for people to watch. A 12A certificate here in the UK. It's of course a superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero, featuring the character Shang-Chi. Produced by Marvel, distributed by Walt Disney Studios. 25th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton from a screenplay he wrote with David Callahan and Andrew Lanham, from a story by Cretton and Callahan themselves. It stars, forgive my pronunciations with any of these, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, alongside Awkwafina, Menga Zhang, Falak Chen, Florin Montanu, Benedict Wong, Michelle Yeoh, Ben Kingsley and Tony Leung. Yeah, Marvel's first film with an Asian lead. Yeah, first Marvel Studios film with an Asian director and predominantly an Asian cast. Excuse me. And for your money, for your penny's worth, there's a lot of subtitles in this as well. I'd say about a third of it is subtitles. So if you don't, I certainly don't mind that. It's an Asian-based film, but I say it won't be everyone's cup of tea, subtitles, obviously. But nice touch from Marvel, as I say, although it won't be appreciated everywhere. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings premiered in LA on 16th of August 2021 and is widely released now around the world, including the United States and the UK, on September the 3rd, 2021. Quite simply, the synopsis: Shang-Chi must confront the past he thought he left behind when he is drawn into the web of the mysterious Ten Rings organisation. Is it any good? Let's have a look at some of the reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, we always go there first. Approval rating, positivity rating, if you like, of 92%. That's based on 233 reviews. Average rating, yeah, very, very healthy, 7.5 out of 10. 214 fresh and 19 rotten. Fresh comments include Wendy Ide from The Observer here in the UK. It's vanishingly rare for a film to actually deserve its hype, but Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings does so and more. James Mottram, he was also positive. South China Morning Post. It's nice to get a view from that area of the world, isn't it, that Marvel are actually doing a good job. A highly enjoyable tale of father-son rivalry and how to set about achieving your potential. There was some rotten. Jake Cole from Slant Magazine wasn't overly impressed. He said, on the screen, Shang-Chi is rotely defined by the same gifted kid imposter syndrome as so many other self-doubting MCU heroes before him. Yeah, I can't totally disagree with that. The website's consensus: Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings isn't entirely free of Marvel's familiar formula, it isn't, but this exciting origin story expands the MCU in more ways than one. It certainly does, and it certainly will. Rotten Tomato, the audience, they love it. 4.8 out of 5, so you're talking 9.6 out of 10, which is very high. There's a lot of 10 out of 10s on Internet Movie Database. We'll have a look at that in a minute, but I'm always dubious, as you know. A 10 out of 10 is very, very dubious, but that sort of backs that up with the Rotten Tomatoes audience. Their consensus: Shang-Chi covers new cultural ground for the MCU without losing any of the action, comedy and emotion Marvel's movies are known for. Yeah, I'm not so hot on the humour side, to be honest with you. I don't think Marvel's comedy works for me, to be honest with you. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average of 71 out of 100. Again, very good, based on 48 critics, and it scores anywhere between 38 to 83 out of 100. The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw gave it 6 out of 10. He wasn't as enthused as some. It's an entertaining romp, he said, although the formulaic quality is becoming a little obvious. Yeah, there is a little bit of a theme of that. Screen Rant's Rachel Labonte gave it 8 out of 10. Bolstered by a star-making performance from Simu Liu, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings gets the MCU's newest hero off to a promising start. It certainly did. Internet Movie Database, that's Joe Public, the one we always finish on and have a quick look at. 25,303 reviews. Of that 25,303, over 7,133 gave it 10 out of 10. So I would sort of discount that, but there you go. It's very, very high figure. That's 28% of the total, quite a lot. So, but that includes 23,876 who did score this anywhere between 6 out of 10 and 10 out of 10. So that's 94% of Internet Movie Database. Again, similar to the Rotten Tomatoes audience, so I'm not going to quibble over it. I'm not going to start looking at it statistically and knocking out the 10 out of 10s, etc. I think it'd be a bit churlish to do that. Right, my little thoughts on it. Again, my stance. I'm not the biggest MCU fan. They're okay. I like it, as you know, I like a bit more of a story. I always find the DC stuff a bit more darker and a bit more the story a little bit better than I did with the comics when I was a kid. I enjoyed DC comics slightly more than Marvel, but I do enjoy Marvel, don't get me wrong. So that's the sort of angle I'm coming from. I'm not particularly been overly impressed with some of the MCU stuff, as I've not been overly impressed with some of the DC stuff. It doesn't make any difference. DCU stuff, it doesn't make any difference. So that's on that basis, that's how I look at it again. I mean, rings with the ability to wield power for good or bad. Yes, we've been there before, haven't we? Of course we have. It's always nice to see an offshoot of a comic universe that's been touched upon, hasn't it, in Marvel? Obviously, and if you read the comics, you know all about it, but never fully developed in the film side of it. And whether it be Marvel or DC, there's a multitude, of course, of source material to pick from. And, of course, very much more to come. One of my favourites of modern cinema, if you like, when I used to have my video shop back in the 90s and 2000s, was Ang Lee. Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's one of my favourites. I didn't normally watch many of films of that type, but that was one of my favourites. And I hope with this, before I saw it, it would capture some of the magic I felt watching that and some of the fantasy style, etc., etc. But it didn't quite hit that height for me. It wasn't meant to be. It's Marvel after all. It's not Ang Lee, is it? But yeah, this is a bit more epic in its delivery, which means the feature loses some of that intimacy, I think, and some of that angle, like that Crouching Tiger had for Ang Lee. But that doesn't mean it isn't entertaining. Of course it doesn't. It's Marvel. It's an epic. It's what it is. I found the first half of the movie a little weak, to be honest with you. And the elements of humour, as I said, the comedy side didn't quite work, as it doesn't tend to with the Marvel stuff for some reason. For me anyway, personally. That's a personal point of view. But the lively second half of the film was well worth the wait. And all these movies have to be 2 hours plus, of course they do. They've got to justify the budget and what people want. But you could have still knocked 15-20 minutes off this, and it would have been, to me, could have been tighter. Certainly that opening first half of the film could have made it a little bit tighter and better. They could have edited a couple of bits, which I thought were needless in the main. As you'd expect, this is a great film to watch on the big screen once we get to the epic encounters, the epic battles. It's a simple story, as I already pointed out. It does follow the Marvel form. You don't have to think too hard about it. Don't expect too many twists and turns that aren't sort of telegraphed. You know what's going to happen before it, really. You have an idea of the good guys turn bad and the bad guys turn good and backwards again. All that sort of thing is what you'd expect. It reminded me a little, the latter parts of it, totally different, totally off the wall, but a little bit of the later episodes of the Harry Potter franchise. I got that little feel of it, but that was the best of the series, the later parts of the Harry Potter thing, so obviously it reminded me of that, so that's a positive, that's a good thing. The acting chemistry, yeah, that was interesting. Do differ slightly. I did enjoy most of it, and I think the chemistry was fine throughout the film. But sadly, I didn't warm to Katie's character, played by Awkwafina, which I am in the minority. A lot of people have said some nice things, but for some reason it just didn't work for me, and I didn't find her character of any real interest or comedic value, which she was supposed to put into this film, obviously from her side. But as I said, I'm in the minority, so I'm not going to get too het up about it, and hopefully you won't either. Deep down, I wanted an Ang Lee, of course I didn't. We got, let's be honest, a pretty Marvel formulaic production for me that didn't always quite work, especially in that first half. I found it a little bit boring in parts. I'm sorry about that, but I did. But it does what you'd expect. This is what it says on the box from an MCU production. So I'm definitely not going to be too down on it, because as I said, I did find it entertaining, especially the second half of the film. So my rating today, I'm going to give it my very watchable rating. I'm not going to go up to the 8s and 9s that these people are doing. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, which, if you know my scores, is not a bad score. And I thought it was great entertainment. The very good second half of action, fantasy and adventure made up for earlier boredom that I did suffer a little bit, but it is one of MCU's better attempts for me. As I said, I've not been overly impressed with some of their titles over the years, but this is certainly one of their better attempts. You know, if you look at things like the Black Panther and stuff like that, all this sort of thing that you've seen from other films, this to me was that sort of style in many ways, but it is one of their better attempts. MCU themselves, as I say, DCU's another matter, isn't it? We won't talk about that. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Let me know what you think, and if you get to watch this, especially on the big screen, please do try and get to watch on the big screen if you can. It's far better. Like all these epic adventures and fantasy films, it's far better on the big screen once you get to the fantasy elements than it is on a smaller screen. But let me know what you think anyway. Thanks for watching. Whatever you want to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other till we meet here again on the Film and TV channel, or perhaps you flit across, have a look at my Citizen channel, my channel on my football team, Manchester City. All it is, I only ever ask one thing of you, don't I, please? I ask you to please stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.